I was going to use this space. Yeah, I'm just trying to get this so that people that can't show up.
Last time I got to lead it off, and I got to do my whole blurb. Now I got to see.
So this is the third?
I did one in Norway. That was good. They did it.
Yeah, they've done it.
See, the first time we didn't have the very end. We did. We got two. The last time we shut that down.
Yeah.
Tonight we'll see.
Yeah. Well, you have to control it. That's what. Yes, it's good. They got the mic right in front of you.
So I just want to introduce myself. My name is Bob Farnham.
Bob Farnham, Tommy Waltz.
So these cameras look like they're right in your face. I'm going to try to be as not in your face as possible. But when you actually see the video, you'll see that it looks like you're pretty far away. But I probably will sneak up here and change the position of it every once in a while just to see how it goes. If I could just ask you one question, could you have a seat for just a second so I can set this up to the height?
Of course, I'm short, so.
That's pretty tall sit next to you. That'd be great.
What's your title, Tim? Vice President. Oh yeah, that's with all the emails, just to have us reminded.
I'm Tommy.
Tom, hey, nice to meet you, Tim.
Tim, good to meet you. Whoops.
How you doing, Richard? Start in a few minutes.
Okay.
When I was working there, spent quite a lot of money on that stuff down there.
Hey folks, we're going to start in about 2 minutes, so if you want to grab a snack in the back or a drink and take a seat, and we'll get the program started very soon.
Pointing at him.
Pointing in all directions. If it's audio, yes.
Oh.
Audio, you can point at me, not video. All right? I'll make that deal with you. How's
Okay. I guess I shouldn't. Got to be careful of my metal thermos here. Make clunking noises. Yeah. I don't know. NPR,
You're
really?
going to start it like last time. Okay. And you're going to stand up and walk around and make it difficult.
I will.
That's cool. Oh, there's a silent song. Hush. And he drops back.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. How's the volume on the microphone? Is it good? Yeah. Okay, excellent. My name is Dan Barlow. I'm the Public Policy Manager with Vermont Businesses for Social Responsibility, and we are pleased to be the co-host with our friends from the Vermont Natural Resources Council of this event tonight. This is the third in a series of 6 forums that we're holding across Vermont. Wanted to engage Vermonters and Vermont business leaders and nonprofit leaders about what their vision for Vermont's clean energy future looks like. And we have a great panel here tonight who will talk a bit about their expertise and what they see as a vision for Vermont's clean energy future and Vermont's clean energy economy. And then the second half of tonight will also be, we have some prepared questions that folks submitted in advance, and we're going to answer some of those. We're also going to do a couple of live questions from the audience, and I just want to note to keep the program moving during that portion. We ask that you keep your question limited to about 30 seconds or so. It's a time for a question, maybe not a statement, to the panel, and then we can keep on moving on with the program. So, I think we have someone who can, are we having them write down questions tonight too, or?
Just have people raise their hands, and we've got all the menu.
Okay, great. So I want to introduce our panel this evening. At the far end, we have Representative Mary Hooper from Montpelier. And we also have Dan Hawksworth, who's the Executive Director at Capstone Community Action. Representative Tommy Waltz from right here in Barrie. And Tim Shea, from the Vice President of Facilities and Purchasing at National Life Group. And I want to note that it's exciting for me to hold this event here in the town of Barrie, where I live. Love Barrie, and it's really great to see a great crowd come out and talk about economic development in Barrie. This is a conversation that needs to be had, and Barrie's brightest future is ahead of it, I believe. Also want to recognize Bob Farnham, Bob the Green Guy, who is broadcasting this live on Facebook tonight, so please no swearing or anything like that, as Bob will yell at me later, and the Facebook gods will, do whatever they do. So I want to pass the microphone over to Representative Waltz, who will say a few words as the local host here, and then we'll have some more remarks and get to the panel in just a few minutes.
So how are we going to do this thing? Okay. I don't want to wrap this around your neck or anything. Hi, first of all, I just want to welcome everybody to this historic place. I know a lot of you are from Barrie, so you know about the old labor hall, the Socialist Labor Hall. Those of you who don't know about it, I encourage you to read all the literature that's up back there and learn about this. And this is a really wonderful place. If you had been here 100 years ago, you'd probably be speaking Italian and working in the granite industry. So Barrie's a little bit different now, but still, I want to welcome you to Barrie City, and I think this is a really appropriate place to be having this kind of conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And does anyone have a guess about how many clean energy jobs are in Vermont right now? There's been a couple of recent studies. 7. Very close. There are 19,000 clean energy jobs in Vermont. Roughly 1 out of every 17 Vermonters are working in the clean energy sector in some way. This is an industry that's seen a 30% growth over the last few years. And this wasn't by accident. It's no surprise. I'm sure everyone expects Vermont, the Green Mountain State, to have a strong ethic when it comes to clean energy and environmental regulations and harnessing the economic development potential of being good stewards of the environment. But this happened here in Vermont because of policies put in place by legislators like Representative Hooper, Representative Waltz, and many others at the State House. And because of folks like you who tell your legislators, who tell your policymakers that you want to see a Vermont that has, solar panels, where everyone, if they want, can participate in the clean energy economy. So one of our goals tonight is to, we're in a shifting moment here in Vermont and in the country. In fact, if you notice today, the EPA announced that they are going to be withdrawing the Obama Clean Power Plan regulations, a real major step backwards for our environment and our clean energy future. So what we wanted to do today was, with the comments you'll make and the questions you have, we are gathering this information and we are going to be bringing it to the legislature next year, both VBSR and VNRC. And also to the Climate Change Commission, which the governor has commissioned to go across the state and also hear from Vermonters as well. So we'll be supplying the feedback we collect tonight both to the legislature and to the commission. So I want to keep that in mind. If your comments can be focused on what your vision is, what constructive things Vermont can do to move these policies forward and allow everyone to enjoy the economic success of our clean energy sector. Before we get into the panel, I wanted to give my friend and colleague Johanna Miller from the VNRC a few moments to talk about how Vermonters can engage in this process and what to do with all your energy.
Thanks, Dan. And thank you again to everyone showing up on a gorgeous Tuesday evening with gratitude. And thank you, too, to our panelists. So I really look forward to this conversation. As folks might know, the Vermont Natural Resources Council is based in Montpelier. We've been around for over 50 years, and we were founded by farmers and foresters who understood that the health of our environment is inextricably connected to a healthy economy. And that's the conversation that we want to have here tonight, the conversation that we are having across the state of Vermont and the other panels that we are hosting, as well as the conversation that others are convening. As Dan noted, not only today did we retract from the Clean Power Plan, you probably also are aware that the United States withdrew from the Paris Climate Agreement, which is a global agreement to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. That means that the United States is now standing alone, singularly with Syria, as the only nation on the planet not to be participating. Excuse me? Honduras? It was Nicaragua, and they actually got in. And the reason Nicaragua didn't participate originally because it wasn't aggressive enough. So the United States and Syria, and what that means ultimately is that, as Dan said, and as we know, that there is an obligation for states to act. There is also opportunity. On the heels of the United States withdrawing from the Paris Climate Agreement, our Governor Phil Scott joined with other mayors and other governors across the nation and said, we're going to step in and step up and meet the obligation of the Paris Climate Agreement and our own more ambitious comprehensive energy plan and climate change goals. And that's really important because the conversation here tonight, the conversation that the governor is convening, as you probably know, he convened a 21-member Climate Action Commission, and he's charged that commission with coming up with solutions that actually will make progress and move us towards meeting those goals and those obligations with the frame around the economic development opportunity, the protection of those who can at least afford to pay for our energy needs and who suffer the greatest with climate change, and to ensure that we do it stepped and affordably. So that's the conversation we're going to have tonight. That's the opportunity before us. And I see Senator Mark McDonald here, and I would be remiss to not only remind us that, yes, we've intentionally crafted policies that have helped create 1 out of, I think, 16 jobs now, actually, in the clean energy sector. But they've also, our commitment to a clean energy future and reducing our energy consumption has also meant that we now have the second lowest electricity rates in New England. So we went from being the highest, or among the highest, to now the second lowest. So we have serious opportunity to do something intentional, proactive, and figure out how we can do it well, do it right, create the jobs of the future, and do it in a way that works well for Vermont. So as a member of the Climate Action Commission myself, I'm very interested in hearing about the solutions. And again, as Dan said, we will pass those solutions on to the Climate Commission members, and the ideas and input from everyone here, whether you're raising concerns or other specific recommendations, we will thread those into. So look forward to starting the conversation.
Thank you, Johanna. And we're going to move to our panelists now. Each panelist will speak for 5-10 minutes or so about clean energy and environment, and then we'll move to the moderated Q&A portion of the evening. First up tonight is Representative Mary.
I thought I was last. Do you want to, is it okay for me to go first? Or do you want to go back to Dan, or?
Whatever you want, Representative Hooper. I had you up first on my list, so
Cool.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So I wanted to talk about the money piece. That's in part because I currently sit on the Appropriations Committee, and that's the way I see things, sometimes very sadly, only through the money lens. So often the discussion around climate action is that it's too costly for Vermont to act alone, or Vermont's efforts to make a difference. That there's little that we can do within the scope of money that we have, so why bother doing anything? And I would suggest that we're already spending an enormous amount of money on this issue, and we'll only spend more if we fail to act. Most of those costs are hidden in state, local, and private pocketbooks. About 25 years ago, I attended a conference on whether or not we should try, this is my recollection of the conference at least, it was about whether or not we should try to prevent climate change or simply move on to mitigating the effects of it. And I was really struck by the comments of the Director of Public Works from Portland, Oregon. And if you know public works people, directors, they are among the most conservative people around. I mean, they just want to fix the thing that is in front of them. And he talked about the hundreds of thousands of dollars they were spending 25 years ago on hardening their infrastructure to deal with rising sea levels and on stormwater damage. He also mentioned a port city in Virginia that I think was either Norfolk or Newport News. And he said they basically just couldn't bring themselves to deal with the issues that they saw kind of on the horizon. Well, according to a Google search yesterday, Portland is still spending about the same amount of money protecting its infrastructure, and Norfolk is now anticipating spending about $19.5 million on mitigation this year to do the work that they didn't begin doing 25 years ago. 8 years ago, not 8 years ago, some time period ago, I was mayor of Montpelier for 8 years. And during that period, we had 5 100-year storm events. I don't know if any or all of them were caused by climate change, but it strikes me as a little odd that in an 8-year period we would have 5 100-year storm events. Just on the capital expense side, so not looking at the personnel of city government, certainly not of state government, nor on the private sector, so just the capital expense side, we spent on average $500,000 a year responding to those 5 storm events. So we spent $4 million, is that my math right? $4 million over an 8-year period just responding to those storm events. We're spending the money now. We just don't see it. You don't see that part of your taxes in Montpelier are dealing with that. Part of our taxes here in Barre are dealing with that. I mean, we certainly, of the towns around us, Plainfield, Barre, have had really costly storms that in Northfield that they have struggled to deal with. We're spending money today. The state doesn't categorize its expenditures incurred by storms, nor, again, do we know which storm is climate change and which is just what normally happens. We don't know if Irene was caused by climate change. but nor what's happening this year. I mean, it's just horrific to listen to what's going on, you know, in the South, in the West, in the Midwest, everywhere. Think about what those costs are on the local level. Somebody's paying those dollars today. Rebuilding Waterbury alone was $140 million to, deal with the relocation, building the structure. I don't know what our transportation costs were, nor do I know what the private sector costs were. On the Appropriations Committee, I find it really interesting that about 3 years ago, State departments started talking about what they were doing to respond to climate change. The Health Department talked about the fact that they were going to be dealing with heat waves and positioning themselves to provide assistance to folks who were suffering, or agencies who were responding to folks suffering from heat exhaustion and issues